You know, I think sometimes the connection is easier to talk about than it is to achieve. But if anybody's done it, I think United Methodist Church has really developed that.
Oh, it's a profound experience being United Methodist, and the privileges I've had to work with clergy who were coming in from other denominations and would hear the way that they functioned or hear the way that they went about their portion. It really made me realize how privileged I was. I had the support needed to do ministry. I had the challenges required to keep things moving, to keep it exciting, to keep it interesting.
You know, I think I share with a lot of other clergy the reality that we can do so much more together than we do separately, particularly through our mission and ministry gifts or through missional outreach or when we join with other churches or, you know, other agencies or whatever to make a difference.
I go back to my years in extension ministries, which are, in fact, an extension of all of us, of all of our respective churches and so forth.
But it was more than that. It was missionaries, and it was, you know, people getting fed, and I mean, it's just incredible what that apportionment is.
I see that connection that happens all around the world, and is just really amazing how large we are and what God does in our church.
For me, the connection, you know, is relationships and personal relationships that I have grown to trust in and to kind of rely on.
But particularly as I was on the board of ordained ministry and then now the district committee on ordained ministry, and that's where I've really been able to have connections with other pastors and lay people.
And when we were in cooperative ministry in southeast Kansas, we developed such a solid team among the 6 of us. And that was such a joy to be able to share and to see other people's skills and talents and to be challenged and be blessed.
Especially in the earlier years of my ministry, we had more emphasis on getting clergy together in small groups. We had sub-district meetings that were mostly for fellowship and support, and it seems like we've kind of gotten away from that.
The contrast is amazing. There were some appointments that I had where I was so isolated and so on my own and hard to figure out who to ask about what. So that when I actually did wind up in a place where the colleagues around me were useful and the weekly prayer groups and gripe groups were good, it was, you could really see the value in it. These kind of groups coming together are excellent as far as really feeling the connection.
I think there's great opportunity and great potential for doing ministry in new ways and different ways, particularly rethinking districts, rethinking how we use our districts, how we use and deploy our district superintendents.
I think maybe one of the first things, or at least one of the things that touches my heart, is the itinerancy system. It worked for Francis Asbury. I mean, it really worked well. But are we there now? Or should we be beginning to look at those ways we can retool the church? The tendency is to want to get a new pastor and so that this next one will heal everything and make everything better. Yeah, just like that. And then the expense. I mean, churches that have to move want their pastor to move every 2 years, and pastors who are just as guilty, who want to keep climbing up that ladder, want to move every 2 years. That's an extraordinary expense to the conference.
The whole idea of churches having pastors and pastors having churches is never going to make the connection strong. The pastors ought to get paid from Topeka. If my paycheck comes from Topeka, the local church doesn't own me. You could do all kinds of creative things if you didn't have to come up with a new salary package every time you made a new appointment.
I also want to encourage the church, the conference, to continue to focus on Jesus. I can see the value of many of our learnings from the secular world and the business models and so forth, but they always, I think, have to be evaluated with that criteria. Would Jesus do this?
We are involved in truly big business, something much larger than ourselves. And I think we need to pray for God's vision and wisdom as we move into the future.